All right, let's talk about Brexit. You remember the chaos, the protests, the endless debates? It was a mess. But what if I told you Brexit might not be the last? Right now, other countries are seriously questioning their future in the European Union. Some are fed up with Brussels, others feel like they're being controlled, and a few are even threatening to walk away entirely. It's like watching a group of friends slowly realize they've been roped into sharing a timeshare, and none of them are quite sure how to get out of it. So, who's most likely to be next? And if another country leaves, could it be the beginning of the end for the EU? Could this whole European project go up in flames faster than a pub crawl with Boris Johnson? Let's break it down. Why would any country even want to leave the EU? Well, picture this. You join a book club, right? Sounds lovely. You imagine sophisticated discussions about literature, maybe some wine and cheese. But then you show up and it's all just arguments about the thermostat and who ate the last croissant. That's kind of what the EU can feel like sometimes. There's the bureaucracy, for one. The EU has a bit of a reputation for being, shall we say, overzealous with its regulations. We're talking rules for everything from the curvature of cucumbers to the wattage of your toaster. And while some of these regulations are well-intentioned, others just leave people feeling like they're drowning in red tape. Then there's the issue of sovereignty. Some countries feel like the EU is constantly encroaching on their ability to make their own decisions. And of course, we can't forget about the economy. The EU has a single currency, the euro, which has its benefits, but it also means that individual countries have less control over their own monetary policy. If there's one country that's become the poster child for EU skepticism, it's Hungary. Led by Prime Minister Viktor Orban, Hungary has been clashing with Brussels for years. Orban has been busy consolidating power, eroding democratic norms, and generally giving the EU a massive headache. One of the biggest points of contention is immigration. Hungary has taken a hardline stance against immigration, refusing to comply with EU quotas and building fences to keep migrants out. It's caused a major rift with other EU members who accuse Orban of xenophobia and undermining EU values. But it's not just immigration. Hungary has also been cracking down on freedom of the press, judicial independence, and LGBTQ+ rights, all of which put it at odds with the EU's core principles. The EU has responded with a series of condemnations and legal actions, but so far nothing seems to be slowing Orban down. If Hungary is the EU's biggest rebel, Poland is its biggest wildcard. Poland, once hailed as a model of democratic transition, has been on a slippery slope in recent years. The ruling Law and Justice Party, led by Jarosław Kaczynski, has been accused of undermining the rule of law and democratic institutions. One of the biggest flashpoints has been the judiciary. The government has been trying to exert more control over the courts, purging judges and packing tribunals with loyalists. The EU has cried foul, launching legal action against Poland and warning that its actions threaten the bloc's fundamental values. Adding fuel to the fire is Poland's stance on LGBTQ+ rights. The government has declared the country an LGBT-free zone and cracked down on LGBTQ+ activism. It's a move that's drawn international condemnation and further strained relations with the EU. All right, so Hungary and Poland are the big names, but what about other countries? Could anyone else actually leave? Well, let's just say the EU isn't exactly a monolith of unwavering support. There are rumblings of discontent in other corners of the bloc, with some countries flirting with the idea of following in Britain's footsteps. Take Italy, for example. Italy has long had a complicated relationship with the EU. On the one hand, it's a founding member and a major beneficiary of EU funds. On the other hand, it's also been saddled with a sluggish economy and high unemployment, leading to resentment towards Brussels and the rise of Eurosceptic parties. Then there's the Czech Republic. The Czechs have always been among the most skeptical EU members, with a strong tradition of Euroscepticism. They're like that friend who comes to your dinner party but only eats the snacks they brought themselves, and spends the whole night complaining about the music. And let's not forget about Greece. Remember the Greek debt crisis? Greece was forced to swallow a bitter pill of austerity measures in exchange for a bailout, leaving many Greeks feeling like they were treated more like a vassal state than an equal partner. These are just a few of the reasons why some countries are starting to get cold feet about the whole EU thing. Let's be real for a second. Is the EU actually at risk of breaking apart, or is this just political drama? Well, predicting the future is a fool's errand. But here's the thing. The EU is facing some serious challenges. The rise of populism, the refugee crisis, the economic fallout from the pandemic. These are all putting a strain on the bloc's unity. The EU is often described as a marriage of convenience. Countries came together after World War II to prevent another devastating conflict and to promote economic cooperation. And for a long time it worked, but like any marriage, it requires constant effort and compromise. So could the EU actually collapse? It's not impossible. If countries continue to drift apart, if the EU fails to address the concerns of its citizens, if another major crisis hits, well, let's just say it wouldn't be pretty. Imagine a world where Europe is once again a patchwork of competing nations, each pursuing its own self-interest. But here's the thing. The EU has a knack for defying expectations. It's been through crises before, and it's always managed to come out the other side. So while the future is uncertain, one thing's for sure. The EU isn't going down without a fight. The EU isn't perfect. Countries are frustrated, tensions are rising, and if things don't change, we could see some serious cracks forming. It's like watching a group project where everyone's supposed to be working together, but half the team is asleep, and the other half is arguing about who gets to use the glitter glue. But for now, the EU is holding on. The real question is, for how long? Will they figure out a way to share the glitter glue, or will this whole project fall apart? Only time will tell. If you like this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on our next deep dive. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.